Hey, this is Nick,
And this is Peter at the Yacht Rock Revue.
and you're listening to my weekly mixtape with Brian Colburn.
Welcome to My Weekly Mixtape, a podcast that takes the classic mixtape approach to building a modern playlist. I'm your host, Brian Colburn. Joining me tonight is Nick Niespodziani and Peter Olson from Yacht Rock Revue. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me tonight.
What's up?
Happy to be here.
Yeah.
Well, tonight I get to start by asking you both my first-time guest question. So I guess, Peter, we'll start with you. What does the word mixtape mean to you?
Mixtape has such a feel associated with it for me. It was like a way to communicate with my friends growing up. Like you'd make a mixtape if you were excited about something. You make a mixtape for a girlfriend or a potential girlfriend. But it's just like a collection of songs that mean something personally to you.
Nick, same question to you.
I remember listening to mixtapes in Peter's basement in elementary school that he had made. Like mixtapes go way back for me, and same kind of thing. Definitely like in wooing various girlfriends, including my wife, the right mixtape at the right time was always crucial. So like having that knowledge of how to flow from song to song and really strike a mood, that's what a mixtape's about.
And that's what we're going to attempt to do tonight, creating the ultimate yacht rock playlist. This is one that several of the mixtapers have been requesting for quite a while, and I don't think there could possibly be a better pair of experts on this subject. So for those who might not be familiar with the term yacht rock, Nick, could you give us maybe a Cliff Notes version of the spirit of what yacht rock is?
Yacht rock is soft rock and AM gold made between 1976 and 1984, primarily by session musicians in Southern California. Your biggest yacht rock artists are going to include Michael McDonald, Kenny Loggins, Boss Scaggs, and Steely Dan.
Nick, anything you'd like to add on the genre?
No, I think that's the Cliff Notes right there. That's pretty much it.
You can tell I've done this a few times. I know how to describe yacht rock as yacht rock is supposed to be described.
Well, there you have it. Then, Nick, I'll throw this next question to you. With your ever-expanding playlist over the years, which covers the full spectrum of the genre, how did you go about honing in on the songs you wanted to bring to the discussion tonight?
It was very difficult to narrow it down to my songs. Luckily, I saw Peter's songs before I saw, had to do mine. So he knocked out some of the essentials. But I think about if I'm trying to describe yacht rock to someone who just has no idea what I'm talking about, which songs are the ones that strike the mood most immediately? And that's where I chose my songs from.
Yeah, so I was trying to keep in line with what the masses might refer to as yacht rock. I did my best. I certainly strayed a little bit, but also songs that I've got some personal connection to, whether it be the artists that wrote or sang them or just how they work in our set with our band.
And personally, I'm just hoping to bring enough cool to this mix to keep things sailing smoothly with you both tonight, no pun intended. But with that said, let's get down to business. Tonight, as I mentioned at the top of the show, Peter, Nick, and I will be curating the ultimate yacht rock mixtape, and we'll use the old cassette deck approach. Since I have two guests this evening, the format will be slightly altered, as Peter will begin side A with his first song choice, and then we'll roundtable the panel until we've mapped out 10 songs for side A. We'll then give our mixtape a proverbial flip, and we'll map out side B, only this time Nick will kick off the roundtable discussions. Our overall goal for the episode is to craft the best yacht rock mixtape possible through only 20 songs. At the end of the show, you can take our conversation to the next level by visiting the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com to give our final mixtape a listen via the embedded playlist. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/myweeklymixtape. There you can enjoy ad-free episodes of the show, become a future guest, and so much more. And I want to take this moment to welcome brand new Patreon mixtaper Chris Pizzica to the Patreon mixtaper family. Looking forward to talking with you in the forums. And with that said, a few of the fellow Patreon mixtapers chimed in with the songs they would use to kick off this evening's festivities, and I'd like to give a quick shout out to those. Christopher Cross got a lot of love tonight as Chad Lamassa chimed in with Sailing and Sherry Thomas chimed in with Ride Like the Wind. Tom Hutchinson chimed in with Steely Dan's Dirty Work and Eagles' Take It Easy. Philip Bergman chimed in with Kool and the Gang's Hollywood Swinging. Sean Goff chimed in saying that he grew up with his father playing Ambrosia, Player, and Little River Band, so he listened to a lot of yacht rock as a kid, but after careful consideration, he starts off with Exile's Kiss You All Over. And Seeker is chiming in with, and I quote, the yachtiest rock that ever rocked a yacht, that being Gerry Rafferty's Baker Street. And once again, if you want to chime in for future My Weekly Mixtape episodes, you can join us at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. All right, Peter, the time has come. Let's set sail on our Yacht Rock playlist with your first song choice to kick off side A.
All right, so I'm going to start with a disclaimer that it's impossible to narrow down the perfect essential yacht rock playlist into 20 songs. The genre is much too vast to squeeze it down. That being said, I've selected the perfect track to lead off this mixtape with George Benson's Turn Your Love Around, composed by Bill Champlin of Chicago fame and Steve Lukather from Toto, as well as Jay Graydon, who's known for doing lots of work with Steely Dan. And it's the opening to this tune, when you listen to the track, and also when we play it live, it's one of those songs that just sinks into you a little bit. It's not like there are so many songs where when it kicks off, all of a sudden your fist is in the air. And this one, I think, more just like leans you back into the couch a little bit and feels, it's so silky smooth. But at the same time, it's an irresistible dance jammer that sets off the dance floor, I think, pretty much every time.
Yeah, I feel like when that first string note comes in and the beat comes in, everybody knows they know what song it is, but they're not sure what song it is. You know they know this song, but they're not positive what it is. And I think that is one of the great elements of yacht rock, is that these songs, everybody knows them, but they can't always say, oh yeah, that was George Benson, or oh yeah, that was Ace, or whoever it was. And I think that little bit of mystery that comes with it, because they're not sure that this is Turn Your Love Around until chorus hits and it's Turn Your Love Around, right? Mm-hmm. Like that's the aspect of this song that I love.
Well, it reached number 5 on the Billboard US Hot 100 and number 1 on the R&B singles. You had mentioned the writers of the song, Jay Graydon, who produced the track. I actually find it pretty humorous that he admitted at one point that he came up with the melody for this song on the toilet, of all places. This is a song that pretty much the players on the track include, I guess you could say, all of Toto, because Steve Lukather, David Paich, and Jeff Porcaro all play on this song. And I always like to bring in cover versions when possible. In 1995, Tony DeBart covered this in a Eurodance style, and that charted in the UK, Netherlands, and Belgium. Unfortunately, never made a splash in the US, but if you like that 90s Eurodance sound and you want to hear a fun version of Turn Your Love Around, definitely look up Tony DeBart's cover. But moving on from there, we are going to go to you, Nick, to choose track 2.
Now things got serious very quickly, because when you hear the wind come in and the ominous opening notes of this Christopher Cross classic, yacht rock is more than just Piña Coladas and backing vocals. Like, this is a serious song. Ride Like the Wind, Christopher Cross.
Nice.
This is one I would say that in our set is more of a rocker than most of your yacht rock. It leans heavier on the rock. And the thing that I really love about this song, honestly, is I always think about the Rick Moranis SCTV sketch in which he is playing Michael McDonald coming into the studio. We've been obsessed with this sketch since the first show of Yacht Rock Revue. And we would be playing in this very small basement club. And I would always want to do the Michael McDonald from the microphone, like way, over at the bar, and then have to climb over people just to get back in time, barely, to sing "Such a Long Way to Go." And I'll just always think about the SCTV Rick Moranis. We actually recreated it with Peter and a shaker for a promo reel for our new single, which I was pretty proud of. It was pretty fun.
What's interesting about our position with these tunes, like not only performing them, and which would maybe give us a little upper hand as an expert, as you said, is that we get to see what these songs do to people. And there's some, you would never assume that Christopher Cross is just like Nick said, just a rock artist, right? We would never classify him as a rock artist. But when we get into Ride Like the Wind, people are reacting like they would to Bon Jovi. I mean, it's like they're just deep into it, and it's got so much energy. And part of that is because of the energy I think that we put into it. But you can hear that on the track, and it's still Christopher Cross's silky smooth vocal, that sails over the top of this. But Ride Like the Wind is a jam.
Quick side note, though, if you haven't seen Christopher Cross live, he's a shredder on guitar. The dude can play super fast, knows all the scales. He's a total shredder, which listening to Sailing, you don't assume that Christopher Cross is a guitar shredder like Eddie Van Halen, but he totally is. He's amazing.
Well, I want to give a shout out again to Patreon mixtaper Sherry Thomas, who chimed in with this one. Christopher Cross got a lot of love on the Patreon mixtaper channel, and the song reached number 2 on the Billboard US Hot 100. And obviously you talked about Michael McDonald's instantly recognizable backing vocals on the track. And I don't know what it is, but 90s dance really dove into yacht rock, because in 1991, East Side Beat released a dance cover of Ride Like the Wind that charted as high as number 4 in Belgium, Ireland, and Spain, and hit number 3 on the UK singles chart. So it's not moving the needle here in the US, but these yacht rock songs are seeing a second life a decade later in the European dance scene, which I think is just ridiculous.
It's bizarre. We were busy with Technotronic in CNC Music Factory.
Yes,
that's true.
Well, following both of those gems up here, this is tough because now I've got 2 home runs, and I've got to go with something that is going to show that I can hang in the yacht rock category. But I have my rock side of me that always wants to come out. And this was a song that, when I've listened to this group growing up with my parents, and I listened to the Deja Vu album, and I listened to songs like Long Time Gone, when first the words Crosby, Stills, Nash came up with yacht rock, I'm like, I don't know if that really counts as, But then when you put on Southern Cross, yes, this is Crosby, Stills, and Nash going the yacht rock route. The video on MTV screams everything about it. They're literally on the boat called the Southern Cross. And there you've got Crosby, Stills, and Nash all singing together. However, David Crosby did not reunite with the band prior to this song getting recorded. So he's not on the studio version of the track.
Really?
Yeah, he does not sing on the studio version, which I thought was ridiculously interesting, because if you listen to the harmonies, it feels like he's there, but he's not.
Right.
And then obviously Parrot Heads, and there's a whole Is Jimmy Buffett Yacht Rock. Regardless, they're familiar with Southern Cross as well, because on his Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays live album, Jimmy Buffett covered this song as well. Unfortunately, though, no Eurodance versions of Southern Cross.
I'll tell you, people love it when we play this song. It's not one that I would have ever really categorized as yacht rock, honestly, like of my own power. But I was like, oh, people are going to love this song. Let's just do it. The sing-along factor is undeniable. Undeniable. And as a fan of like 60s Crosby, Stills, and Nash, it's easy for me to just get right in the lane with this one.
Yeah, same thing. I feel like there's maybe a little hesitation when we get into this tune live, but the form of the tune is ABC, ABC, and the pre-chorus and the chorus sections of this song, they hit every time. And I think there's something about just, it's clearly less folky than the early Crosby, Stills, and Nash music, but it's like if you heard this in what you would call a yacht rock playlist at like the dentist's office or Home Depot or whatever, like it fits right in where these songs you can kind of jump in and out of when they're in the background, and they can grab you, and they have so many pieces to latch onto, but they're all also interesting, and like the structures are a little complex. So that, like Nick was saying, even with the familiarity to the music, there's a mystery about these songs on different levels that I think have kept them intriguing all this time.
And with that, we're throwing it back to you, Peter, for track 4.
All right. So 4th on the mixtape, we've got Love Will Find a Way by Pablo Cruz. Growing up, I just caught like the tail end of the yacht rock era. So some of these songs I was very familiar with, not as familiar as people a little older than me that these songs got drilled on the radio or whatever. So part of it, learning these songs in the band, was a bit of a discovery process. And I actually was not really familiar with Pablo Cruz, but I love this song. It's got kind of that rock groove at the beginning, but then when the verse kicks in, the milky Fender Rhodes or Whirly or whatever's on there is kind of sets it into gives it the yacht rock vibe. And it's a lot of fun to play this one. So I've just always liked it since we learned it.
One thing this song has in common with a lot of other yacht rock songs is that it's incredibly difficult to sing. The male vocal just goes up into the stratosphere, and he's doing some acrobatics up there. I mean, so many of these yacht rock singers were just these singer, like they're these pure guys with pure voices who can just physically do anything. And I think the vocal take on this track is just incredible, and always a challenge for me to sing. Always a challenge.
The track reached number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100, as well as number 8 in Australia, number 5 in Canada. So worldwide hit here. I always like to give the PSA that Pablo Cruz, along with Marshall Tucker and Jethro Tull and Leonard Skinner, are band names. His name is not Pablo Cruz. That's the band name. I just want to put that out there. PSA for everyone. And for me, I love the tone that David Jenkins has on his guitar on this track. It's clean and it cuts through the song, but there's just enough reverb to keep it smooth in line with the other yacht rock songs of the time.
Yeah, and going back to his vocal, it's like a Blue-Eyed Soul track, like he's an R&B style singing over a track that's really just kind of straight ahead blues almost.
Mm-hmm.
David Jenkins, bad man.
Yeah.
That he is. And Nick, with that, we're heading back to you now for track 5.
So this song is one that I'm excited about because it's a new addition to our set list this year. It is the most requested song every time we've asked what yacht rock songs that we haven't played do you, our fans, want us to play? Like, what do you guys want to hear? This has always been number 1 on the list, and it's Sweet Freedom by Michael McDonald in his solo career from the Running Scared soundtrack starring Gregory Hines and Billy Crystal. I love it because it's got the MIDI keyboard loop. That thing, entire song, it goes the whole way, never stops. Even when the chords go off into jazz land, they just keep that ostinato rolling, and it shouldn't work, but it totally works. I love the energy of this song, and I'm really excited to play it live on our 2024 tour.
I love the way that Michael McDonald, it's almost like he's telling a story in this tune. Like he's in no hurry. The style of the verse just comes real slow and like he's leading you somewhere. And while the music is really pretty intense with that MIDI loop going on, and then it just builds and builds. to the chorus, and the horns on this track are wicked, and it has so much energy for a yacht rock track. I just love the energy of the song.
And there's just certain names and voices that are synonymous with yacht rock, like Nick was talking about at the top of the episode. And I think Michael McDonald, be it his solo work or what he did with the Doobie Brothers, is certainly one name that cannot be omitted from a yacht rock mix. This song reached number 7 on the Billboard US Hot 100 and also charted in the UK and Canada. And once again, Dance got a hold of a yacht rock staple because Danish electronic percussion duo Safri Duo covered the song with Michael McDonald in the 1990s, and it charted across Europe, going as high as number 2 in Spain. However, I'm a big fan of cover songs, and even rock bands get a hold of it because in 2001, Phantom Planet covered the song for the perfectly titled Not Another Teen Movie, which, if you love 80s music and you love cover songs, that whole soundtrack is amazing.
Apparently, we need to do a new mixtape that's just 90s Euro dance covers of yacht rock songs. That's what I'm learning so far.
Yeah, there are so many. It actually blew my mind when I saw how many yacht rock songs became dance staples at one point.
Amazing.
All right. With that, now we are back to me for track 6. And I'm going to stick with this movies theme. We just talked about Not Another Teen Movie and 80s movies and stuff like that. I'm going to go with one that's from a 1980s classic, and that would be Fast Times at Ridgemount High. And I'm not going with the song that everyone out there is probably thinking of immediately, which is Moving in Stereo by the Cars for different reasons. One, it's not yacht rock, and two, but we're going to go with the hit track from that. The lead single, which reached number 7 on the US Billboard Hot 100, Somebody's Baby by Jackson Browne. The song also charted in Australia and Canada as well. Again, this is an artist very much like Crosby, Stills, and Nash that you don't normally align with yacht rock. But for some reason, he just hit the nail on the head with Somebody's Baby, and it flows perfectly into the yacht rock sound. But if you listen to Jackson Browne's earlier music, sure, I'm sure you could pull some songs from it and include them in the set. I just don't know if it would hit the same way that Somebody's Baby would.
Yeah, I think there must have been something. I feel like the 80s were happening, right? Southern California was not immune to what was going on with 80s music. So this was a little later in the yacht rock era or whatever. And I feel like artists like Jackson Browne and Crosby, Stills, and Nash, they're just kind of like, oh, well, we'll just kind of taste a little bit of what's going on with popular music right now or something like that. But it certainly fits right in with all the other yacht rock songs. And this was the first song. I was never a lead vocalist in the band. I've shared a little bit of vocal duties in the past in bands that we've been in before. And I think this was the first song that I sang in a yacht rock show. And that's something that's interesting about our band is that we've got, various lead vocalists in the group, and everyone's got a different timbre and range and style. And so it's really fun when a song lands with you that really fits your style of singing. So the song in particular pushes my range a little bit because it's limited, but we've played this song countless times. Like, I have no idea how many. And it's a little bit of a love-hate, like people ask when which song have you played so many times that you just can't stand it anymore? Certainly some songs wear on you, but it's fun to, it always comes back around and you get to explore these songs inside and out. So I'm always really liked this song.
Pete, you've probably sang this song on stage more than you've sang lead vocals on any other song ever. That's my prediction. I think that's probably true. This is the one in the set list where it's like, oh, we need a Pete song here and it needs to be a banger that really connects with the crowd. Like, this one is just automatic. People always love this song. And it's so simple and it doesn't really have a lot of rise and fall. It kind of stays right at the same level the whole time, which somehow completely works in a way that you wouldn't expect it to. Yeah, Jackson Browne is a master, and this is a master at work.
All right, Peter, we're back to you now for track 7.
All right, track 7. So we had the distinguished honor last year of getting to tour with Kenny Loggins on his final This Is It tour. We played a dozen or more shows with him around the country and got the chance to see him and his band play night after night and how they work and how Kenny trained up his vocal to brush it absolutely every single time. And so for track 7 on the mixtape, I selected the Kenny Loggins co-pen with Michael McDonald, I Gotta Try, which Nick can allude to the story of it, but we worked it up for a little bit and got his blessing to perform it at some of the shows we opened for him, right?
Yeah, in Los Angeles and at the last show in Santa Barbara.
Yeah, but it's a tune that was kind of not on my radar. Nick brought this one up to the group, and I don't think it was, I'm sure you've got the chart information, but it wasn't a huge hit. And both Kenny and Michael released the song like within a month of each other.
Yeah.
Really close. And of course, they've got, Yacht Rock studio musicians all over both tracks. And the version that we did, I think, was a little closer to Michael's. But it's just such a great song in the various versions. That's the evidence of a great song when it can be performed in various ways, kind of like you're talking about with the cover versions. I mean, a song is a song is a song, and so you can do it in different styles, and it still comes across every time. So I love I Gotta Try.
Yeah, I always knew the Michael McDonald version more than I knew the Kenny Loggins version. I don't know that I was even aware of the Kenny Loggins version until somewhat recently. And his version is much more 80s, whereas Michael's is a little more like kind of soul. And it's very interesting to see two guys who co-wrote a song together have such different takes on how that song gets realized in the recording studio. And I remember, as Peter said, we talked to Kenny about maybe doing one of his songs and asked him if we could do it at one of the shows. And he said, yeah, you got to play it for me in sound check first. And so, it's the YouTube Theater in Los Angeles, and we're at sound check, and we recorded this song, but only rehearsed it a few times. And we go up there on stage, and there's nobody out in this entire theater out there except for just Kenny Loggins sitting there, like judging. Actually, he's not very judgmental at all, but like, you feel like he's judging his song, and he's jamming along and feeling it the whole time. And then at the end, he just looks up and he says, you guys need to turn the bass up, and then just pieces out. It was an awesome night. Super memorable.
It's a great tune. I'm the actual opposite of you. I knew Kenny Loggins' version first and found out about the Michael McDonald version second. I was a kid that grew up 80s soundtracks. Kenny Loggins was the man between, Footloose, Danger Zone from Top Gun, I'm All Right from Caddyshack, Nobody's Fool from Caddyshack 2, Meet Me Halfway from Over the Top. So I dove into his catalog, and that's how I got introduced to I Gotta Try. And it wasn't until I started listening to the Doobie Brothers and going into Michael's catalog that I realized the connection to the two. On Kenny Loggins' version, Richard Page and Steve George of Mr. Mister are doing the background vocals on that one, which I guess maybe gives it a little bit of an edge for me. I think both versions are great, but like you said, they're distinctly different, but still the same song. And at the end of the day, the song is strong enough that both versions worked well. I'm just kind of surprised that neither one truly made a dent on the charts at all. So shocking, but it's a great song. And with that, Nick, we're throwing it to you for track 8.
Yes. So if there's one song that you have to play at every Yacht Rock show, it is Africa by Toto. It's less so this way now that our repertoire is expanded and our crowds are bigger and we aren't so much at the mercy of the crowd. But when we were playing small theaters, people need to hear the chorus of Africa. And there have been, so many, I feel like there's even been a TED talk on like the greatness of this song. Like you can't get into hyperbole and overstate the greatness of the song because it speaks for itself. It's like 1 billion streams. This is the song that really crossed over from yacht rock into pop in a way. Like this was a Michael Jackson level pop song that was also one of the smoothest songs ever written. Peter talked earlier about which songs annoy you, blah, blah, blah. This song honestly has never really annoyed me that much because even though we have to play it every night, it's just a great song.
Yeah, I don't know what else to say about Africa except that it's just a little piece of perfection. It really is. And what kind of random lyrics and song, like what is this song really saying? I don't know, but the production, the magic happened on this one for sure. It's a beautiful tune, and it hits every time we play it. It connects every single time. And I feel like it does the same thing just in life when this song comes on. Everybody, latches on to a little, like if you walk into a restaurant or a store where Africa's playing, you get into it.
Oh, by all means. My group, Colbert and Company's been playing this song for well over a decade. And once that opening riff hits, people could be doing anything. And it's almost like they stop and turn around and they're now invested. And it's not one of the easiest songs to hit if you're going for the high notes without hitting some falsettos, especially at the end of the night, which is usually when most people want to hear it. For the guy that has to hit the high notes, sometimes I'd prefer it to be earlier in the night, but the rest of the band's going, no, let's shelve that for later. And I'm like, yeah, great, when it's the hardest time to sing. Thankfully, you could back off the mic at that point because everybody's singing with you. And that's what I love about the song. Reached number 1 on the Billboard US Hot 100. We talked about this on episode 49, which was the ultimate number 1 hits of the 1980s. It also hit number 1 in Canada and cracked the top 10 in Australia, Belgium, Ireland, Netherlands, New Zealand, Switzerland, and the UK. NPR, just to be edgy, I think, in 2019, added the song to their worst songs of all time list, saying, and I quote, "It's the moistest, dampest song, and then the synth." I honestly couldn't disagree with that more because I think they were just angry that a year earlier, Weezer's cover hit number 51 on the US Hot 100 and reintroduced the song to an entire new generation of kids and millennials who never heard the original. So now the song holds different levels, whether it's the Toto or the Weezer version of the track.
Bobby Kimball is an acrobat on that tune. There's improv vocals at the end of this song that everyone loves to sing along to. Like they're just incredible. The way he tells it, the way they would choose the keys of songs is they would find out how high Bobby could go, and then that's where they would set it. And then they would ask him to sing it night after night after night.
No pressure, right?
I think they would say like how high he thought he could go, and then they would set it like 3 steps higher than that. Make him go for it and then expect him to do it every day. I mean, it's just so ridiculously high.
And what a monster track to have to follow up. So you've got this crowd pleaser, this anthem that I've got to follow up with next. And I think I know a way to do it that's going to bring in younger people as well as the older original Yacht Rock crowd. This was actually the first song by a Native American band to reach the top 5 on the Billboard US Hot 100. And the song reached number 5 from 1973's Wovoka. I'm going to go with Redbone's Come and Get Your Love. If the name of that song sounds slightly familiar to you and you're younger, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 and Volume 3 and Avengers Endgame, Peter Quill or Star-Lord, Awesome Mix Volume 1. Come on, you know the song. And with it now becoming a trend, 1995 German Euro dance group Real McCoy covered the song for their US debut album Another Night, and that version cracked the top 20 on the Billboard US Hot 100, reaching number 19, and also cracked the top 10 in Canada, Europe, Finland, the Netherlands, New Zealand, and Zimbabwe. So outside of the US, there's a good chance that people don't even realize Real McCoy's song is actually a cover.
That's great. Redbone, what a classic jam. This song just feels so good. I love the groove of this tune. And it's different than a lot of the other yacht rock music that was made by the session musicians in Southern California because they were also technically trained, or they could tread on whatever instrument it is that they play. But there was similarly to the way that there was magic when Africa was recorded. This has the same thing, but it's more of like the stars align for the feeling of the tune. I don't know what it is about this song, especially since like a lot of it is a little indistinguishable. I mean, we just started doing this one recently. We're going to be playing it later this year, and I had no idea what the lyrics were. I certainly had to read them to understand what was going on. But great tune. Love this song.
Yeah, it's very early, almost like pre-yacht rock. We called it Plymouth rock, like the yacht rock before the yacht. But it's also like I think, and this is what you were alluding to, Peter, like it's got some like garagey elements to it. Like these aren't the super shredder Toto guys backing up Boz Scaggs on Silk Degrees. Like this is a completely different feeling. I remember when we were first learning all the yacht rock tunes, we had DVDs of the Midnight Special that we were passing around, because this is before everything was on YouTube. And we passed these around, and seeing them perform this song, Midnight Special, with the full Native American like headdress and everything, I was like, oh, that's these guys' background, or that was part of their music. So that was kind of a learning experience for me.
All right, Peter, you started side A, so now you get to close out side A with your final pick.
Okay. This song was a no-brainer, and I know that if I wouldn't have selected it, Nick would have, as a top 20 yacht rock essential for sure. And that is Robbie Dupree's 1980 classic, Steal Away. It's just got the total yacht rock vibe. He's got such a beautiful voice. It's kind of like Christopher Cross singing a McDonald song or something. It's like it's the perfect mesh of all the yacht rock worlds. And we've been playing this one since day one. And it's kind of, there's a flow to this, our set, in terms of songs that are up or down. I mean, you can't keep people at 11 for an entire show, or at least not in a yacht rock show. And you would think that this one is kind of one of the mellower moments, but it's a song that people groove just as hard to and love to sing along to. And we've had the pleasure of playing with Robbie and knowing him for quite a long time now. And one of my favorite stories about this incredibly lucky career path that we've been on is that we were playing, you mentioned Weezer. This was pre-Africa Weezer. We played aboard the Weezer cruise.
Nice.
Musical festival. And so we're on there, and I can't remember if it was the bass player or the drummer of Weezer had brought along a friend who stopped Nick and I in the aisle of the theater and said, "Hey, you guys are great. You're amazing. I caught your set. Really love what you're doing." And we're staring at this guy like we kind of know who he is, so we can't place him. And we're like, "Oh, what are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, I'm friends with one of the guys in Weezer. I just came along." And it turns out that it's Brian Ray, who at the time was touring with Paul McCartney.
Wow.
And also just happened to be the recording guitar player on Robbie Dupree's Steal Away. So after that cruise, he called up Robbie and said, "Hey, reach out to this band Yacht Rock. They're doing something really cool." And we got a call from him, and we've been friends ever since, and had the pleasure of playing with Brian as well. And so this song is really meaningful, I think, to everyone in the band. So always love this song.
In terms of yacht rock songs that have a special place in my heart, this probably ranks number one. It was the one yacht rock song that my wife insisted be played at our wedding. It's always been special for us. And then it's just really inspiring to be around an old timer and get to know them in an intimate way and understand everything that they've been through. You know, most people just think of Robbie Dupree as the Steal Away guy, like the one-hit wonder guy, but he's so much more than that. There are so many more layers, and getting to experience that on a personal level with him has been really a highlight of our career, as Peter said.
Well, the song reached number 6 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and also charted in Australia and Canada. And as far as cover versions go, well, actually, before I get into that, let me play this.
Come on and hold me, just like you told me. Then show me what I want to know. Why don't steal away? Why don't we steal away into the night? I know it ain't right. Don't tease me.
What you're hearing now is a clip of Yacht Rock Revue's cover of Steal Away, which is from their upcoming Escape Artist album, which we'll be talking about more in just a few minutes. But this cover's fantastic. I love the stripped down ukulele approach, as well as Courtney Jackson bringing a powerful female vocal rendition to the track. Nick, can you talk about this arrangement and what you were looking to achieve in the band's version of the song?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, it's like the most special yacht rock song to me. And this Escape Artist album is one that's a lot of songs by guys in the band who aren't trying to be one thing or the other, just trying to be like who they really are, you know, in these songs. And I felt like if we're going to do a cover, it needed to have that same spirit. And I don't know where it came from. Maybe it was in a dream almost. I just had this idea, like, what if we did Steal Away, but instead of doing our usual version, which is very much exactly to Robbie's original, like, what's the most opposite thing we could do? And I thought, well, if it was just a ukulele and I started singing it myself, and but what if Courtney sang it? Such a pure, sweet voice. I just thought it would be a completely different take. And I wanted to honor Robbie. Instead of imitating him, I wanted to bring something different to the song. And that's where we tried to go with this one.
And that it certainly did. And that, Mixtapers, concludes side A of the ultimate yacht rock mixtape, which consists of George Benson's Turn Your Love Around, Christopher Cross's Ride Like the Wind, Crosby, Stills, and Nash's Southern Cross, Pablo Cruz's Love Will Find a Way, Michael McDonald's Sweet Freedom, Jackson Browne's Somebody's Baby, Kenny Loggins' I Gotta Try, Toto's Africa, Redbone's Come and Get Your Love, and Robbie Dupree's Steal Away. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Now, just a minute ago, I mentioned the band's upcoming album, Escape Artist, which you're releasing in two parts. Sides 1 and 2 drop on October 4th, and sides 3 and 4 drop on November 25th. And I have to say, as a show called My Weekly Mixtape, I love the fact that you're releasing it in sides. But besides that point, what was the thought behind the staggered release schedule for the album?
I mean, honestly, it's so ridiculous to release anything but a single in 2024, right? Like, it's all about singles, and singles are what go on mixtapes, right? Like, I mean, it makes sense. Like, but we went into studio and had so much material that we ended up recording a double album. And it felt like if we released all 21 songs from the double album at the same time, they would just be off in the wind, and maybe one song would get heard by people. So our strategy is to try to spread it out, release a few singles, release it in sides, and let people consume it digitally the way that they're used to consuming music these days. But then in November, when sides 3 and 4 come out, we decided to release in its full glory the double album, 2 vinyl Escape Artist full edition that is out of step with the times, perhaps, but totally on point for a band that does music from the 70s and early 80s.
Well, we just heard a clip of your cover version of Steal Away, but now I want to preview an original track called Passengers.
I'm quite happy in the backseat. I'll go wherever you go. I already know more directions than I ever wanted to know. Take me away. I can let go. Take me away. I don't want to be in control. I can let go. Take me away. And I can do the same for you.
Now, when you guys are on the road all year long, playing songs from across the yacht rock scene, how does that color or factor into the direction of the band's original material?
That's been kind of the challenge that the nut we've been trying to crack, really, right? Like, you want to make music that's authentic to you and to your experience as an artist. And our experience is playing a lot of yacht rock songs on the road, right? So of course that's going to be a big part of it. But I feel like if you try to just hew so closely to that, it becomes almost pastiche or like satire. And that's not what we're trying to do, you know? So I would like to think that on this new album, we kind of struck the middle lane between all this yacht rock influence, our own experience, and finding a way to do it that feels authentic to both yacht rock and to ourselves.
And the next track from the album I want to share is a song called Lost in the Meantime.
I remember the valley after promising in the twilight. The summit fades a supposed highlight, eclipsed by you. Pick any random day, forgot what I had to say. Everything slips away, and I get lost in the meantime. You find me out, I get lost in the meantime. You find me out, and I never mind getting lost in the meantime. In between the flowers and countdowns, it doesn't always have to be profound.
Now, Peter, you guys are going to be on tour this summer, opening up for Train and REO Speedwagon. And like you mentioned, you've already done tours with Kenny Loggins and other bands as well. You've made a name for yourself performing covers, but you have this original catalog of songs. How do you approach a tour of this magnitude in terms of cover songs to original songs ratios?
Well, we're only going to have we're going to have a smaller snippet of time to deliver our show than we're used to compared to playing the headline shows. So there's certainly a craft to making a set list, which is similar to a mixtape, right? You want it to start a certain way, you want it to end a certain way, and you've got to deliver in the middle. And we need to keep these, not only we're trying to keep the crowd's attention, but we're going to be in front of a lot of fresh faces, a lot of new eyes and ears. And so I think we'll we'll play to our strengths, just like any band would. And I think that whatever it is about our cover band that has kind of garnered an image somewhat of original band, even without the original music, is the personalities and the styles of each individual that we interject into the tunes. So I think we'll stick to our guns and we'll do that. And we're going to try and preview as many tunes from the record as we can along the way in small doses, and hopefully it goes down smooth.
All right. Well, now we are flipping our proverbial mixtape over to side B, and Nick, you get to kick things off with track 1.
Track 1 on side 2. I love the slow burn intro to this by Daryl Hall and John Oates. This track, I think the inspiration of this track came from John on New Year's Eve. He was trying to go on a date with this girl on New Year's Eve. She stood him up, and he was sitting there by himself, realizing that she was not going to come through on the date. And he's like, well, she's gone. And he's like, it's basically the best thing that ever happened to me. It's funny to hear how a life moment like that can become a song that is just so much bigger than that moment. This song has such a wonderful rise and fall and climax. And if somebody said, all right, you have 5 minutes to prove to someone how great your band is, I would probably choose for us to play this song. Like, this is the song that really allows all of our band members to put on their best. And it's just a ton of fun to play. One of the most fun moments, another career highlight, as Peter was talking about, was on another music cruise when we got to actually perform this song with John Oates.
Oh.
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of question sometimes when the yacht rock is coming out of Philadelphia, but this song I think makes a strong case for sitting firmly in the yacht rock genre, and also maybe the only true duet as far as a charting single between, for the most successful duo of all time. This is the true collaboration between John and Daryl. Like Nick was saying, it's just the rise and fall. This song just kind of takes you. It's a long tune, and it hits a lot of different feelings along the way. It mellows way out, and it gets really intense, and it's just a ton of fun to play on stage.
It was originally released in 1973, but it only reached number 60 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and it charted in the UK and Canada. However, after Hall & Oates moved to RCA Records from Atlantic and Sarah's Smile became a hit, Atlantic, shrewdly enough, re-released the song and capitalized on their success, and that's when it hit number 7. And this is one of those instances where the single version, meaning the version that you hear on most greatest hits compilations, is butchered. It's 2 minutes shorter than the original, and I feel like it sucks the life out of the song. It neuters the saxophone solo. So if you're looking to listen to this song, make sure to listen to the version from Abandoned Luncheonette, because that's the version you need to hear. And I guess true to form, in 1998, Matthew Marston recorded a version of the song which features Destiny's Child on backing vocals. So that's right, Beyonce sang backing vocals on a cover of She's Gone. That charted in the UK, but did not make a splash in the US. Once again, Europe all over the Eurodance, even on Hall & Oates. So moving on to track 2, it was said at the beginning of tonight's episode that not all songs can be about piña coladas and getting caught in the rain, but I think you got to have at least one. So from 1979's Partners in Crime, let's bring in Rupert Holmes' Escape, the Piña Colada song. Reached number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100, and as a fun fact, was the last song of the decade to hold that position. It was also a number 1 hit in Canada, as well as top 10 in Australia, Belgium, Ireland, and New Zealand. And along with Redbone's Come and Get Your Love, it was also featured on the Guardians of the Galaxy soundtrack. However, my go-to movie memory of this song is when Chris Farley accidentally presses G7 on the jukebox instead of G8 during a bar fight, and instead of the Rolling Stones' Street Fighting Man, you get Escape, the Piña Colada song. Regardless, if we're talking yacht rock, there's got to be at least one Piña Colada, so I figured I'll be the sacrificial lamb and throw it into the set list.
Yeah, it's the Piña Colada Escape, parentheses, the Piña Colada song. I mean, it's really essential to most of our sets, and it hits every time. It's kind of like the drunk uncle of the set list. I mean, it's like everyone's happy when it comes around. It's on the set, we're looking down, it's lurking there. And, but then once it hits, it's like, oh yeah, there's a reason that everyone loves this track, and it's just a lot of fun. It's really all there is to it.
Rupert Holmes went on to be a successful librettist. He has done librettos for several musicals and has been in like the musical theater world. I've always wanted to meet Rupert Holmes because in our early days, I would make a lot of fun of this song because I thought I was too cool to sing this song. And then I realized actually this song is too cool for me. I think I've probably forgotten the second verse to this song more often than any other lyric in our entire set list. The number of times that I've turned to Peter and said, what is the second verse of this song? I mean, it's got to be at least a dozen times. And I feel like half the time, Peter will tell me the correct lyric, and I'll be like, no, that's not it.
Yeah, the last song.
And I'm like, oh, yeah, wait, that is it. So, yeah, the Piña Colada song. Love it.
Well, Peter, now we're back to you for track 3.
All right. So getting back to tracks that I got to uncover as we were adding songs to the set in this band. Sanford-Townsend band's Smoke from a Distant Fire was not a tune that was on my radar. I'm sure that I had heard it, but it wasn't a song that really registered with me before. But similarly to the way that Nick was talking about She's Gone, this is another song that I think plays to the strengths of our band or demonstrates what we do well. And the play between the sax and the guitar is a lot of fun and works so well for our band. And the vocals on this one, it's just another like blue-eyed soul ripper that it's unbelievable vocal take. But another couple of guys that we had the pleasure of playing with. So yeah, it's just a great song.
Yep. When they came to play with us in Atlanta, I don't think I realized before that Sanford had co-written I Keep Forgetting with Michael McDonald. And it was actually his story. He had gotten broken up with by a girl, went over to Michael McDonald's house and was just like, man, I just keep forgetting she's not here anymore. And that was the song, right? And you would never connect the keyboard player from Smoke with a Distant Fire to I Keep Forgetting. But that's the beauty of Yacht Rock. Like all of these, interconnections between writers and players and singers coming together to make this music.
From their 1977 self-titled album, reached number 9 on the Billboard US Hot 100 and also charted in Australia, but sadly, it was their only chart success, making them pop up on the list of 70s one-hit wonders. But musically, I think beyond this song, there's a lot more in their catalog that if you're into Smoke from a Distant Fire, you will enjoy.
Yeah.
All right. With that, Nick, we're back to you for track 4.
If you're creating an infomercial for Yacht Rock, you're going to have an announcer come on and introduce the genre. It's probably going to be over the intro to this track, Baker Street by Gerry Rafferty. And then when he says Yacht Rock, you're going to hear the iconic saxophone riff, one of the greatest riffs of all time. Man, I would put it up there with any Led Zeppelin riff, any AC/DC riff as one of the most memorable riffs in rock and roll. Every person knows the sax riff from Baker Street. Instantly recognizable, iconic, classic. And it's also a highlight of our show for our lighting director, James, because he gets to show off Dave. He's always finding a new way to light Dave, our sax player, that is even more epic than the last time he lit up Dave, our sax player, because that's what this song deserves.
Another artist that I don't think was setting out to make the kind of music that fits with all of this other kind of music, but Gerry Rafferty, I mean, he did it twice really with Baker Street and Right Down the Line. Just a solid, mellow voice. It's far from all of the power tenors that are popular in the genre, but it all comes back to the sax riff. Just undeniable, unforgettable, completely recognizable.
Gerry Rafferty turned down collaborating with Paul McCartney at the height of his career. Little known fact.
Smart move, I'd say, considering the success of Baker Street. Maybe, I guess.
Maybe.
Well, it reached number 2 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and cracked the top 10 in a dozen other countries. Hugh Burns, who recorded that iconic sax solo, is the same saxophone player in Wham's Careless Whisper. So 2 iconic sax moments from Hugh Burns. And Slash has cited that his influence in the guitar solo in Sweet Child O' Mine comes from the solo in Baker Street. Once again, a Yacht Rock song gets a 90s dance version as Undercover scored a hit in 1992, which cracked the top 10 in 13 countries, but not the US. So US really does not like dance versions of Yacht Rock, but the rest of the world seems to love it. However, you could also get a country fix on this song as Waylon Jennings covered the track on his 1987 album Hangin' Tough. And that's Waylon Jennings Hangin' Tough, not New Kids on the Block. And if you're a Foo Fighters fan, they did a cover of Baker Street for the My Hero single, which you can now find streaming on the Color and the Shape reissued version. Once again, shout out to Patreon mixtaper Seeker, who chimed in with this one as well. And I think for the next track that I get to follow up with, I'm going to lean into that saxophone in Baker Street. And I'm going to keep things saxy and, I don't know, make it even saxier on two different levels. And I'm going to go off of 1984's Diamond Life. And I'm going to go with Sade's Smooth Operator, which reached number 5 on the US Billboard Hot 100, as well as in Canada. And it also cracked the top 10 in Europe, France, and South Africa. I just feel like yacht rock is by nature a lot of male vocalists, but there's certain female vocals that have kind of been put into the genre. And this song to me is so silky. I mean, the name it's smooth. They named it correctly. It's a very smooth song. The saxophone is gorgeous. And I think coming out of Baker Street, it's a kind of a fun transition.
Yeah, I think smooth is the exact like underlying thread that makes this song work with the rest of the yacht rock songs. But if you took this playlist and got in a time machine and went back to 1984 and showed this to somebody and said, "Hey, in the future, this is a genre," I think that this would be the biggest outlier. Like nobody in 1984 was thinking, "Oh, that would be really interesting to see what somebody thought about this." Like, "Oh, this is all going to be a genre in the future." I don't how these songs from 8 years ago have anything to do with all this new music we're making today. But from the first yacht rock mixtape that was ever made, whenever all of this started, in the 2000 teens or whatever, Smooth Operator's been a part of every playlist. I think there's just something about it that fits right in, and it's a song that feels so good, and it feels so good when we play it, and Courtney just crushes it every time, and of course Dave and the sultry sax, he wears it well.
And I feel like Smooth Operator makes all those yacht rock mixes because of the vibe of the song, because I consider this an R&B track first and foremost, but the vibe and nature and feel of the instruments does slide, dare I say smoothly, right into the other songs that we've been discussing tonight.
Yeah, this song is just pure atmosphere to me. Like it strikes a vibe from the very first moment. Great reverb on this track, wonderful playing, a nice opportunity for a bass solo, and one that we just started playing it last year. And it's surprising to me that we made it as far as we did in yacht rock without ever playing Smooth Operator until last year. And it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It's permanently a part of the set list.
All right. Well, now, Peter, we're throwing it back to you for track 6.
All right. So for track 6, we have what I think is quintessentially referred to as baby making music. This is 1978's Baby Come Back by Player, written by Peter Beckett, sung by Peter Beckett. This was interesting. So we played with Peter and Ron Moss from Player, and they tell the story. It's kind of like a super group that was thrown together. Peter is from Liverpool, so you don't have a ton of British artists in this list that we've thrown together here, but a group of guys that were put together in a band, and Peter wrote this song with the keyboard player, and there was just something about the groove that they put together in the studio that is exactly what this yacht rock music is. And yeah, we've been playing this one, I think from the beginning too. I think this song was in the original set list, and every time everyone loves Baby Come Back.
Yeah, Peter and Ron, very different guys, but both lovely guys. Ron Moss went on to star in The Bold and Beautiful as Dr. Ridge Forrester. So he had like a giant soap opera career after being the bass player in Player. And to me, this track, the thing that always stands out when I listen to it still is the reverb. Like the way they used reverb on this song to create distance and create atmosphere. Like I've tried to imitate it and can't figure out quite how they did it. Like it's really kind of a magical 4 minutes of music, and it's a Swiffer commercial.
And sticking with the pop culture, Transformers fans remember Bumblebee using it in the Transformers movie to communicate. Reached number 1 on the US Billboard Hot 100 as well as Canada, and was a top 10 hit in New Zealand and South Africa. And while not a cover, Vanessa Hudgens sampled the song in her 2008 pop hit, Come Back to Me. So the song again lives in dance music once again.
Will you please make a playlist and send it to us of just the 90s dance versions of these songs? I need to have this.
I will do that and embed it on the episode page at myweeklymixtape.com so everybody who's listening can hear these as well. And with that, Nick, I'm going to throw it back to you for track 7.
Track 7. This song, to me, I'll always think about our tour on which we played this song. We had gone through so many changes after the pandemic and, you know, changes in our band. And there's a video clip, you can see it on YouTube, of us performing this song in New York City on Pier 17, like just epic. It's hazy, it's golden hour, it's dusk, and the video just pans out across this happy crowd, and we're singing Cool Change by Little River Band. And it just felt like so cathartic and so powerful. You know, you hit the chorus and it's got these giant backing vocals. I'll always think of that moment in our band. It was like, we made it. Here we are. We did it. And that's how this song makes me feel. And I think that sense of relief and catharsis is really powerful in this track.
The Little River Band is kind of like you were saying earlier, how you were a lot more familiar with Kenny Loggins' catalog growing up. And then eventually you got into the Doobie Brothers and you start digging into Michael McDonald. The same thing kind of happened with me with Little River Band. It's that they had such a long career of hit making and also personnel changes. You know, the lineup changed over the course of those years, and they still managed to put out this music that you would call yacht rock over the entire course of that time. And there's just so many good songs by the Little River Band. And so if for your listeners, if anyone's looking for, if you're not familiar with Little River Band, you're looking for a rabbit hole to go down, I think there's a lot of rewards down the Little River Band path.
I couldn't agree more. While Cool Change is from 1979's first Under the Wire, my personal favorite song from the Little River Band, I'm not 100% sure would get classified under yacht rock because there's a little bit more electric guitar going on, and that would be the Night Owls. Is that one that you guys have ever done?
Yes. So Peter Beckett from Player spent 10 years as a member of the Little River Band.
Okay.
So in a handful of the shows that we've done with Peter, we've done Night Owls with him.
Awesome.
Yeah.
The harmonies in that song just blow my mind. That was one that my father had the 45 to. And then when I first heard the full album version, I'm like, oh my God, this song is longer, even more awesomeness. Like, cause that was always my go-to Little River Band. But then you've got Reminiscing and Cool Change. In fact, with Cool Change, Triple M in Australia, they had the Aussiest 100, which was the most Australian songs of all time. And Cool Change ranks number 89. So a little fun fact there about that one. And coming out of the Little River Band, this is my last song pick of the evening for track 8. And I'm going to go with just a big yacht rock staple. The album has already been mentioned in our discussion tonight. So I'm going to go Captain Obvious here from 1976's Silk Degrees. Let's get some Boz Scaggs Lowdown in the mix. Reached number 3 on the US Billboard Hot 100 and number 2 in Canada. Co-written by Toto's David Peich with bassist David Hungate and drummer Jeff Porcaro of Toto also playing on the track. I feel like Toto basically in some way, shape, or form have their finger on every yacht rock song ever, but apparently there was a scene of Saturday Night Fever that was recorded with this song in the movie, but Boz Scaggs refused to let them use it. So they went with a more generic track that was overdubbed instead. And I kind of think that's a shame because when you think about some of the songs on Saturday Night Fever, Lowdown would work so well.
It really would.
We do several songs from Saturday Night Fever in our set, so I can tell you that they work perfectly with Lowdown. The Silk Degrees album is incredible. Boz Scaggs as a singer and player, totally incredible. Unfortunately, he's one that isn't crazy about the term yacht rock. He doesn't like being associated with that term or with the other music that is associated with that term, I suppose. And maybe there is a hint of that in his refusal to be on the Saturday Night Fever soundtrack.
Yeah, so this Lowdown's been in our set from the early days. And for anyone that's familiar with our show, we're constantly stepping through the whole thing. It's just, it's a dance that everyone can get into. It's a step left and a step right. And Lowdown is like the perfect example of a side stepper. It's just got that Porcaro groove, and with Toto all over this thing, it's undeniable yacht rock. And the flute it's such a pleasing tune, and the female vocals, like it's a lot of fun to play. And Boss Scaggs he's incredible.
Well, Peter, we are back to you now for your last pick of the evening in track 9.
All right, so I think we've made it this entire time. Track 9 on side B of the mixtape, and we've yet to include any Steely Dan. And so, position, I've got My Old School, which you probably don't isn't the first yachty track from Steely Dan that you think of, but this is the first tune I feel like that hit me with our band, is that in a song that truly plays to our strengths. And it's just one when we started playing it just fit really well. It's just like putting on the perfect outfit. And I love this track. It's upbeat. The horn lines are incredible. And it's been my favorite. It's that all these years we get the question so often, well, what's your favorite song that you guys do? And for a longer period, it always changes, but for a longer period than not, My Old School held that position more than any other song.
I love playing this song when we have a horn section. We don't do a lot of shows with horn sections, but this is always like number one on the list whenever we get some horns in there, because the horn arrangement's great. I mean, as with every Steely Dan song, every aspect of the arrangement, like every detail is spot on. And it's fun to recreate that attention to detail and to see the nerds in the audience appreciate our recreation of that attention to detail.
From 1973's Countdown to Ecstasy, surprisingly, this one only reached number 63 on the U.S. Billboard Hot 100. I was surprised to hear that it didn't crack the top 40. For me, the thing that I always took away from this song is Jeff Skunk Baxter's guitar solo in it. Like, it's just, that is Skunk at his finest. And I mean, if you did an episode of yacht rock music and we didn't talk Steely Dan, I think people would like yacht rock us right off the player. We would lose all credibility without Steely Dan in this discussion.
Completely.
Well, Nick, you got to start off side B, and you get to take us home by closing out the entire evening of music with the last song choice of the night.
I went selfish with this song choice. It's a song co-written with Elliot Lurie, who wrote the song Brandy, You're a Fine Girl by Looking Glass. He was the lead singer and primary songwriter in Looking Glass. And he and I were in Jamaica on a gig together. We were all, Yacht Rock was all there. And he said, hey, I think we should do a song together. And I, of course, said, yes, we should definitely do a song together. Let's do it. And this is the result. It's called Tropical Illusion. It's the first single from our new album, Escape Artist. And I couldn't be more proud that it was a collaboration with Elliot, who's been a friend for a long time. It's got the yacht rock history that he brings to the table. It's got the fresh yacht rock energy that we bring to the table. And I think of all the songs that we've written and recorded, this one probably sounds the yachtiest. Like, this is true yacht rock. Like, we've achieved the goal on this one, and I'm excited for people to hear it.
Yeah, this one just fits just right. And like Nick said, I think without being a pastiche, it's just, it checks the boxes, but it's not just yacht rock, but it's Yacht Rock Revue.
And it just so happens that we have a clip of the song to share right now.
Nowhere I would rather be than right here, right now with you. This tropical illusion, this picture perfect view. And when you hear those waves come tumbling in, a seabird in the wind and time stands still. Oh, what a thrill. Every day I dream of you. Every night my dream comes true. Every day I dream of you. Every night my dream comes true.
And that, Mixtapers, concludes side B of our ultimate yacht rock mixtape, which consists of Hall & Oates' She's Gone, Rupert Holmes' Escape, the Piña Colada song, Sanford-Townsend Band's Smoke from a Distant Fire, Gerry Rafferty's Baker Street, Sade's Smooth Operator, Players' Baby Come Back, Little River Band's Cool Change, Scaggs' Lowdown, Steely Dan's My Old School, and Yacht Rock Revue's Tropical Illusion. Head over to myweeklymixtape.com to hear all the songs we've discussed in this mix through the playlist embedded on the episode page. Yacht Rock Revue will be smooth sailing across the country this summer with Train and REO Speedwagon, so be sure to catch them on the road, and their new album, Escape Artist, drops anchor with sides 1 and 2 on October 4th and sides 3 and 4 on November 25th. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on My Weekly Mixtape tonight.
Pleasure. Thanks for having us.
It's fun mixing it up with you.
And remember, you can find My Weekly Mixtape on almost all the social media haunts at My Weekly Mixtape. You can also head to myweeklymixtape.com to check out the full catalog of My Weekly Mixtape episodes. And if you like what you're hearing on the show, you can help me out by either telling a friend, leaving the show a 5-star review wherever you're tuning in, or becoming a Patreon mixtaper at patreon.com/My Weekly Mixtape. That's all for this week. Thanks again for listening, and until next time, enjoy the tunes.